Planet Dolan. From falling into a waitress's boobs to getting stuck in a restaurant toilet, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about the most embarrassing things that have happened to us at restaurants. I'm Danger Dolan, and today I'll be your narrator. Number 10 was submitted by Cynical Warrior. When Nixium was 13, he and his family went to the fanciest French restaurant in town. While they waited for their food to arrive, the waiter brought out a platter of cheese, dips, and olives. Nixium had never tried olives, so he tossed a handful of them back like they were M&Ms. One of the olives went down the wrong way and Nixium started choking. His face was turning purple, so his mum jumped up to perform the Heimlich. Took a few goes, but eventually Nixium spat the olive out. It flew across the room and landed right in an old man's soup. Everyone at the restaurant stared at him. That was the moment Nixium realized fancy French restaurants, just not his scene. Number 9 was submitted by What is this name though? Voyard? Something like that. 21. When Hellbent was 14, he and his family went to an all-you-can-eat buffet. After their meal, Hellbent's mum asked him to take his little sister to the kids' play area and watch over her. Hellbent was not happy about being given babysitting duty, but his sister put on her puppy dog eyes and convinced him to dance the hokey pokey with her. Halfway through it, Hellbent looked up and saw his crush walking in with her family. She looked over at Hellbent and immediately started laughing. You see, at school, Hellbent was this super cool tough guy. And here he was doing the hokey pokey with a bunch of 6-year-olds. At first, Hellbent wanted to shoot his fucking face off, but later on that night his crush came over to talk to him. She told him it was real brave and cute of Hellbent to do that embarrassing stupid dance for his sister. In fact, she was so impressed that they later did the bedroom hokey pokey. Get it? Sex! Number 8 was submitted by Elderly Gravy 81. When Pringle was little, he and his family went to a restaurant in town. After they ordered, the waiter brought out a big bowl of ranch dip and put it in front of Pringle. All night, Pringle had been annoying his parents by leaning back and forth in his chair. They told him to stop, but Pringle just would not listen. To annoy them even more, he leant really far back in his chair and then ended up losing his balance. Pringle grabbed the table to stop himself from falling. Unfortunately, he also hit the bowl of dip, sending it flying through the air. Landed right in Pringle's head, covering him in creamy ranch dip. Pringle's dad carried him to the restroom to clean it off. Meanwhile, the whole restaurant was laughing at him. This incident earned Pringle the nickname Ranch Boy, which his family still calls him today. Number 7 was submitted by memevill. One night, Gergak's family took him to a buffet to celebrate him placing first in the school band. During the night, Gergak went to the bathroom, and as he was on his way back to the table, some guy pushed out his chair and tripped him. Gergak fell right into a nearby waitress. The waitress lost her balance and they fell to the floor. When Gergak opened his eyes, he found his whole face was deep inside her cleavage. He quickly got up and apologized while his whole family laughed like a pack of hyenas. Gergak is now extremely cautious at restaurants and especially around titties. Number 6 was submitted by Whiffer01. When Sid was young, he and his family went to a buffet restaurant for his sister's birthday. Sid likes to get his money's worth by eating as much as he physically can. On this particular night, he ate pizza and pasta and several kinds of dessert. The night was going great until Sid's family was getting ready to leave. Sid suddenly grabbed his stomach and said, I don't feel so good. Seconds later, he was redecorating the carpet by vomiting up everything that she's eaten. Sid and his family felt so embarrassed, and it was obvious the carpet would have a permanent stain. They apologized and left as quickly as they could, while some poor old guy had to clean up Sid's mess. Number 5 was submitted by SiriusGreenDragon. When Kyle was 10, he and his family pulled into a restaurant after a long day on the road. Kyle was pretty pissed off because his siblings and parents had been teasing him all day. When they sat down, Kyle was hungry, irritated, complained about everything. He took a look around the restaurant. When he looked back, his fork was missing. This was the final straw for Kyle. Obviously, his siblings had taken it. He slammed his fist down on the table and shouted,
Where's my fork?
He was so loud that the waitstaff came over to see if everything was okay. Kyle's mum gave him a smug smile and said, "It's in your hand." Sure enough, Kyle had been holding it the whole time. His family lost their shit laughing and Kyle stormed out of the restaurant in embarrassing rage. Number 4 was submitted by Fishy Sticks. When Melissa's brother turned 18, her parents took him and the whole family to a fancy restaurant. Everyone was laughing, having a great time. When the staff brought the cake out, they all sang happy birthday. Melissa's dad proposed a toast, so they all ordered drinks. Melissa got a root beer, and when she tasted it, she didn't think it was sweet enough. So she took 4 packets of sugar and dumped them all in at once. The next thing Melissa knew, the soda was shooting out like a Mentos bomb. Melissa jumped up and yelled, "Oh my god!" right in the middle of a super serious toast. The entire restaurant went silent and Melissa's mum shot her a look like she was gonna beat the shit out of her. Melissa was obviously pretty embarrassed. Number 3 was submitted by MidnightWonderGirl. Doopy was really nervous when her mum told her that they were gonna go to a dinner at a Texan steakhouse. She'd never been there before and was worried about what decor they were gonna have. You see, Doopy has a terrible phobia of corpses and was afraid the restaurant might have some taxidermy animals. When they arrived, Doopy looked around the restaurant in a panic. She couldn't see any dead animals, so she ended up breathing a big sigh of relief. They were about to be taken to the table when Doopy looked up. Right above her was the biggest severed moose head she'd ever seen. Doopy immediately screamed at the top of her lungs, ran towards the exit as quickly as she could. In her panic, she ran straight into the door. Took her a few goes to get it open. Doopy's poor family were left standing there in shock with the whole restaurant staring at him. Her mum had to explain Doopy's unusual phobia to the doorman before going out to comfort her. At the time, Doopy was more terrified than embarrassed, but she knows she did an excellent job of embarrassing her whole goddamn family. Number 2 was submitted by Twelpy. When Tolop was 8, he and his family took a trip to Disney World. At the end of the day, they decided to eat at one of the many restaurants, but before they sat down to order, Tolop desperately needed to use the little boy's room. When he'd finished, he tried to unlock the door, but it would not bulge. Tolop imagined spending the rest of his life trapped in this tiny cubicle and panicked. He started banging on the door and eventually caught the restaurant staff's attention. His parents stood behind the door and explained to him how the lock worked, but Tolop still couldn't get it to budge. 20 embarrassing minutes later, a Disney World park ranger had to be called in to break down the door. Finally, Tolop was set free from his toilet prison, but sadly, gotten too late for them to eat. Hey, it's not a trip to Disney World unless the day ends in fucking tears. Number 1 was submitted by me. What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me at a restaurant? Well, I can't think of any embarrassing incidents, but there was a really annoying incident that happened at a restaurant. I'll never forget this nonsense. I was there with my mother and my sister, and we sat down. I gotten told by my mum that this restaurant was great. It's a classic one that's been around since like fucking the Egyptians built the pyramids. It's great. So we sat down and we had a look at the menu. It's like, oh, this food looks pretty good. Pretty fucking expensive, but hopefully it tastes good. So we ordered pretty quickly after we got in. And we waited. Oh my god, did we wait. So after about half an hour, it's like, wow, this is taking a little bit of time, isn't it? Like usually, yeah, I know restaurants, they take half an hour, 45 minutes on average, but this is pretty ridiculous. Every table, like, it seemed like every fucking person at the restaurant was getting their food 10,000 years before we would. So we were sitting there. Then we got up to the hour mark, still no food. And people were coming and going through this restaurant. It's like, what the hell's going on? We've been here since the dawn of time. What is this? Is this some kind of like priority system? Is there VIPs for food? An hour and a half, still no goddamn food. I think the chef came out and was like, "Oh, sorry guys, it'll be here really soon. Don't worry, it'll be here really soon." They gave us some garlic bread. They're like, just eat this. Shut the fuck up, eat this. We'll be back. 2 hours, Pat. We were sitting there for 2 hours, and the food still hadn't arrived. I looked at my mom like, you chose this goddamn restaurant. And I thought, Macca's is just down the road. Let's go to Macca's, alright? They have a policy of about 5 minutes compared to the 2 hours we've been here. Alright, 2.5 hours, we're still sitting in the goddamn spot waiting for our food. I don't even care anymore. My stomach has turned into this black hole full of nothing, void, darkness, and death. I am almost dying of malnutrition. I probably died. My memory is foggy. I think I died for a bit and I came back to life afterwards. 2 hours, 45 minutes, still no goddamn. I'm like, I'm done. I don't know about you guys. I'm done. I'm out. See ya. I'm gone. 3 hours, alright? And you'd expect at this point that they've got a fucking banquet set up for us. They're gonna give it, send us in the back room. It's like, sorry guys, well, here's a turkey, here's a lobster, like, go crazy. No, 3 hours passed, the food still hadn't arrived. And let me tell you, we never got our food. We left. At 3 hours, we fucking left. We went to Macca's and we got some burgers and it was amazing. And I'll be forever grateful to Macca's for not wasting my fucking time. Fucking hell, all I want is food in this life. That's all I want. That's all I want, guys. Anyway, that's my most traumatic incident that's ever happened in my life. Apparently, thank you guys for attending this therapy session with me. Huge thanks to the folks over at Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. We have another question for you. What's the worst thing someone has ever made you do? Have they made you sit in a restaurant for 3 hours? Cause, oh, I can fucking relate. Let us know on the Reddit page link below and you might be featured in a future countdown. That's it for this video and have a good one!